this is one of the realizations I had, and I've had this before, where I realized, with fiat money, you basically borrow economic energy from the future, and then you promise to pay it back later, right? And but when you pay it back nominally later, the amount of units is worth less in that future, because the fiat money is debased. So we can go all into that, but I don't know even know which podcast I was listening to. But then I realized again, with Bitcoin, you can actually send economic energy towards the future. So you're not taking from it, you're sending to it, and you're sending units in Bitcoin to the future that actually increase in value. And so if you think about why should you pay attention to Bitcoin now, right? Like we talked about, there's all these altcoins, Bitcoin is still number one, dominance rising, etc. But I think this is, at least for me, a case in how some people could think about it, right? So we know that Bitcoin is deflationary. The issuance will be less and less and less over time. And then when you combine that with, for example, Saylor's thesis, right, on price, which is actually, underlying of his entire strategy with his company, is this thesis that it will be, in a base case, 13 million per Bitcoin in 2045. So that's in 20 years. And so then I looked at what's the block subsidy after the 2044 halving. That's here, right? So we are at this one now, 3.125. We go to 1.5625, and 2044 it's 0.09765,625. And so if you think about that today, okay, if I would want to retire as a millennial, right? I talk about the millennials. That's in 20 years, and you're like mid-50s. You're like between your 50 and your 60, and you would like to retire. Well, you probably need a few million in value to retire. Like how could you get there? And so if you follow Saylor's thesis of the 13 million in 2045, and you understand that the block subsidy then is this 0.09765, that today that is $8,652. And you can buy that one block subsidy that, if you follow the price thesis of Saylor, would be worth $1.26 million in 20 years. Then of course people will say, like, okay, what can you buy with $1.26 million, right? Maybe one bread, okay, we'll never know. But it's more about the opportunity that you have to actually take money out of the fiat system right now and basically send it to the future. Because if you now take $8,652 units to put into your dollar-denominated pension, then you definitely know that in 20 years that buys you less. So this, for me, is really the opportunity, especially also for younger people. If you can wait, if you can hodl for 20 years, this might be where it's going. And so I added to that, like, once you understand you can send economic energy towards the future, why don't you adopt Bitcoin? Because anything you conceptually send towards the future, right, units you put into your retirement account right now today, they will be worth less. So of course you're incentivized to spend that today. So just a little thought experiment there. I'm interested to hear your thoughts, guys.
Yeah, I love it. I think what I go back to is one way that Ross Stevens from Stone Ridge describes kind of what you're alluding to, is like Bitcoin allows you to propagate value into the future, and it's uniquely saleable across time, is how he describes it. And really all that means is, again, you're able to propagate that value to a future date without it eroding over time. And anything else you would put your capital or your value into is likely to erode over time. And so it's the other thing that this made me think of is just like, there is not only unit bias with Bitcoin, but just this notion that people think they've missed it. Like I was talking to someone yesterday who, has been historically skeptical on Bitcoin. And, the last time I spoke with her about it was probably 5 years ago. And, the price has moved up pretty significantly from then. But she was still couldn't really fathom, like, you really think this is going to $1 million a coin? And I was like, yeah, it's going to 10x, and it's going to 10x again, and then it's probably going to 10x again. Like, there's a trajectory here that, maybe there's diminishing returns over time, but like relative to everything else that you could, again, store your value and try to propagate it into the future with, it's going to outperform that. And so it's, yeah, stuff like this is just very illustrative. So a good tweet by you, Bram, to just like really just, lay it out in plain English, very simple math. Like, this is how you can retire in 20 years.